light. All right, we're looking at the two TVs. One is the QM6K, one is QM7K. I haven't told them which is which yet, Brian. This is the initial Starfield test. Clearly, they are performing very different. And ignore that little reflection. It's my, actually, let me, okay. All right, guesses. QM6K on the right. Brian, what is your guess?
So what do we have? We have the QM6K, the QM7, and the, where's the Bravia 9? Is Bravia 9 in here?
We're not going to guess the
Top
Bravia
left?
9 until you guess the QM6K and the QM7K.
QM6K. Well, I imagine that the QM6K is on the left, I would imagine.
The QM6K is on the left. So you disagree with Jacob. All right. Why do you say the QM6K is?
I mean, just the brightness. I know that the QM6K is not the brightest
Okay.
TV in the world, though I don't love the local dimming on the right. So the right.
Let's keep on going.
The
so we're in Starfield. What do you think of that?
Now we're seeing that blooming because the exposure is pretty high.
Right, but there's a difference between blooming control and brightness between the two TVs.
All right. Well, then now you're saying that the specular highlights are brighter on the left side.
Okay, so this apparently is a dead giveaway right here. QM6K on the right because I saw it had a feet on the side. You know what? You win. Just by saying that. All right, so let's release that. All right, and let's talk about that. I prefer the feet on the side. Some people like the feet on the center, but let's see what happens.
What are the comments?
But hey, everyone, Brian is here.
There it is. What's up, guys? How we doing? Sorry, I'm late. I was getting my makeup done, blow drying my hair.
As you should.
As we always do.
So let's go back to the start and see how the Bravia 9 would have done.
So real quick before we move on, I know I'm late to the party, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Continue.
So, the real introduction that you guys have to understand is that, we've worked very hard to have access to these TVs, whether it's review samples, and FOMO yet again has run to the store and dropped $1,000 or whatever it is just to get it to you guys early. So the QM7K will be available to reviewers next week. And my boy literally is out there spending $1,000 to get this. He's done this with the Samsung TVs over the years, A95L. So, and he spent all day and all night setting these TVs up. So let's give him a round of applause because my boy puts in the work. I'm sure as hell not buying the TV. I'll wait for the review sample, but FOMO respect for driving an hour and change. The TV might not even have been there, and you still drove there last night. So I want to give you the love. And how I know it takes a long time to set these three up. So,
my light is broken. I'm sorry.
Just so you guys.
I don't know. I have to fix my light later. It's just flashing. I pushed the wrong button, so now I'm just sitting.
Just so you guys get the amount of work that no one else is doing that he's doing, and he's not one of them guys going to buy it and return it tomorrow. I mean, he's going to spend the money on this TV and. Again, we talked yesterday. I'm like, you sure it's going to be there? He's like, nope. So he could have driven an hour and about 20 minutes to get there and have them not give it to him. So, and he's done that in the past. So, it's a lot of hard work what we do, but he definitely puts in, a lot of work and going live. I appreciate being on here and my boy's on top of it. So bravo.
What are your thoughts on this Starfield, Brian? Does it feel to you the QM6K is killing it on the Starfield? Let me start.
The QM6K to me, so the QM6K, it's hard to tell. So I mean, if we were in person, Starfield is why I don't show them as much anymore because the more you try to show them, the more it blooms, and that's really all I look at is when it blooms.
Right, and I'm looking at uniformity, because I'm hyper exposing.
Yeah. So
right, and the question is,
really see here.
Yeah, it's going to come up. I'm looking at the monitor as well, so I'll see it when you guys see it. Actually, I don't see it on the TVs yet. It'll come out.
You got the reference monitor hooked up?
No. Well, I do have the reference monitor, but here we go. Let's stop right there.
That's another story.
So it came out on the Bravia 9 and the QM6K first. Now, is it possible that I have settings issues? So let's go over those settings real quick. Actually, it's a great time to go over those settings.
Go into the ambient. There's that ambient bar that's in the main bar. I want to make sure that's not on.
One second. Yeah.
It'll come up as ambient dashboard.
Oh yeah, no, believe me, I turned that sucker off. But
yeah, it might be in two places though, unfortunately. And even though TCL doesn't have that enhanced HDMI, it's normally on Google, I would check that anyway. Because sometimes, that's the worst when you have that enhanced HDMI and one of them's doing 1080p. You're like, or no HDR. So how you guys doing in the chat? Thank you for jumping on with us last minute. Plasma, what's up? Bravia 9 might be the most overpriced TV in history. Guys, I don't Plasma TV, I don't know how long you've been into TVs. The Bravia 9 is actually reasonable. I know you guys think it's super expensive, but from when I've been part of TVs, when these TVs were 10, 11,000 easy. So to me, the Bravia 9 at 65, it's very expensive, but at the larger sizes, it's rather reasonable. And you're supposed to be like plasma. I mean, I paid $4,000 for a 42-inch plasma. That was insane. Let's see who else we got. Smart face. Waiting for good short.
So
I'm telling you, short
settings real quick.
Impressive.
Let me show my settings real quick so you guys know we're on the same page here. This is all default out of the box. I haven't changed anything except gamma. I put to 2.6 because we are in a completely dark room. And if it needs to go to 2.5, we will, or 2.4, we will. But I'll tell you, 2.4 really lifts everything. It's inaccurate. So 2.6 is the best. I have dynamic tone mapping off. Now, would turning it on bring the stars back? Maybe. We'll try that. But I found off to be very good. But on occasion, will fix a few things on all TVs, including the Bravia 9. And the Bravia 9 is always on. We've been told that gradation preferred is tone mapping on, and that's probably the most accurate for the Bravia 9. So I never have the Bravia 9 off. But on the QM7K and the QM6K, I found the off to be more often than not the right decision. But we'll play with that as well. And peak luminance, we're on the highest level, the high dynamic, and the micro contrast does nothing. Okay, so and to compare the other TV real quick. It should be the same.
The micro contrast will work once the content plays.
Yeah,
it's like reality creation. It's actually pretty strong.
And you have the hamburger button that gets you all this stuff, but I still prefer the settings, the picture settings, because I get access to everything I need. I cannot always add this. So the gamma here is 2.4. Let's take it to 2.6. To make it the same. And dynamic tone mapping is also off. High dynamic. Okay.
Well, keep in mind, guys, comparing TVs, if you want to do it correctly, is trying to match them up from different manufacturers. Obviously, the QM6K and QM7K are siblings, so matching those are easy, but matching up the Sony, the settings don't always do the same thing. So we're trying to figure out, the way the settings are laid out. Reality creation, micro contrast, they sound like they're different. I got my Swirling Dragon. I got my C1 in HIG mode with my PC. What are your thoughts? I like HIG when it's supported. You can tell HIG is supported when the specular highlights are brighter. Some people leave HIG on all the time. I do not agree with that. I think certain games support it better than others. So to me, when it's off and it looks the same as when it's on, I go over to dynamic tone mapping. What's up, D?
All right. Hey, D, thank you for the super chat. Currently have the older LG C7. Ooh, that is old. 8 years old. And I need a bigger TV for my new media room. No bigger than 85. Okay. It is a bright room that can be controlled, though. I watch a lot of movies and sports. The 85-inch Bravia 9, I love the 85-inch Bravia 9. I think it's a phenomenal TV. I've seen
it's a different
the 65.
animal at 85.
Yeah, no, you will not be disappointed.
It's not the same TV. No. And I think D, coming from an OLED, the C7 was pretty much before they started getting brighter. They got very saturated with the C8. Then the C9, the C7, it was still fairly dim, had that plasma look to it. I think you'll be blown away by the Bravia 9. And the 85-inch is another animal entirely. So when you're watching reviews of the 65, they're not going to be accurate to the 85. So I would go for it. And it's actually a reasonable price at 85D. Thank you for the super chat.
Okay, Brian. So
how are you guys doing? Thank you guys for jumping in today. Again, my boy Foam was putting in the work. We're trying to, tag team all kinds of content for you this year. It's been an exciting TV year already. A lot of usual suspects in here. What's up, Corey? Broken Wrench. Brittany's in the house. We got AJ's in the house. Matt and Bev and Ruby are in the house. We love you guys. Thank you for sticking with us and hanging out with us.
Now,
all right, what are we looking at?
So, to be fair, the stars on the TCLs are brighter, but you have this slight blooming issue that because I hyperexposed it, makes it a little bit obvious. Let me take it down to kind of what I see, just a little bit, I think. Right here is good.
So the Bravia 9 to me is killing it right now.
Okay, so the
It just
Bravia
seems to
9,
have.
remember what I told you? They pulled down that brightness just a touch to control black levels, whereas both the QM6K and the TCL, the stars are slightly brighter, but what's the price? Slight blooming. So,
Well, it's not just the blooming; the colors are just more. There's more. It seems to be more color on the Bravia 9. Is live color on and that stuff? You have
nope,
what are you in
all
filmmaker?
off. Filmmaker.
So you're a
Bravia
filmmaker.
9's on professional mode, and TCL, both of them are in filmmaker, and all the ambient stuff is off, and all of the eco stuff is off. But I think,
So
if we're going to go round by round, I think it's fair to say that the Bravia 9 is designed for full field brightness. I'm sorry, not full field, Starfield brightness.
yeah, it looks like it's one of those things that it wants to do well, which you can tell by switching the content. Yeah, Swirling Dragon. He's not going to have the mic on him when he walks away from the camera. That's why I'm kind of here. So going into Jen's content, what's up, Craig? Special shout out to Jennifer Gala, who hit 150,000 subscribers today. Congratulations, Jen. So FOMO, in this, I would go into, you're staying in this demo?
Yep.
If you fast forward a little bit to the lions, like that first lion is pretty impressive.
And to me, they look very similar.
Yep.
I cannot tell. So as you can see, TCL, generally speaking, if you're talking easy images, right? We're not talking super challenging images, as good as the Bravia 9. I'm looking at, and I'll change the exposure, as you guys can see, because the exposure you might think is, oh, maybe it's too dark, so I'll turn it up just a little bit for you guys. There. Right, so we turn up the exposure, you see more of the shadow detail. It's all there. Like all three TVs are there. So what TCL has done is they're like, what's the 80% and 90% use case? 90% use case. The 90% use case is not the Starfield. The 90% use case is this, but we put the Starfield out there to let you know, well, why am I paying so much for the Bravia 9? I think that Starfield kind of nails it, but is it just a Starfield? If that's it, the QM7K still has a chance to show what it can do. And this is not bright content. I'm putting in content that goes up to 1,000 nits so that you get a feel, oh, this is most content. How do these TVs compare in most content? I think that's a fair assessment, but then that makes the QM6K look really good, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and send you a video, FOMO. Where should I send it so you can put it on the screen? To your Twitter?
Yeah, you can send it to Twitter. I'll pop that
Because
up.
I have that local dimming test where it kind of drips down,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm telling you that's a good one. So go ahead, keep talking.
All right.
So some of these shots from this demo are a little bit raised. The best part about this demo was the lions and the storms.
I'm gonna stop
So
right here because this is such a good.
yeah,
It's such a good one right here because they're all very close. QM7K and the Bravia 9 slightly brighter in the specular highlights. I don't know if you guys can see that. Slightly brighter, but QM6K, and this is why people say, oh, it's too dim. Specular highlights just a touch behind, but I wouldn't call it dim. And thank you, that guy. Super chat. Love the side-by-side comparisons.
How are you?
You're welcome.
Go
ahead, Brian. Okay, let me look at that. Go ahead.
So yeah, look at the Bravia 9 up top. You got a little bit more depth. And for you guys to understand that whether the Bravia 9 is brighter or not brighter, I don't think it's going to be brighter than QM7K. Even if it was, it's the way Sony wants to control that content creator's intent, director's intent. They are stuck on that, so they're not going to push it beyond accuracy.
Did you send it to Twitter? I don't see the link.
I'm looking for it right now.
Oh, okay. Then
I got 200 videos from.
All right, let's go to the next scene and the next super chat here, and we'll go through these bits of content for you guys. Right now, we're going to the easy stuff that I know the TVs look very similar because a lot of people say, I'm getting the Bravia 9 for sure. It's going to be the best. And it depends on your content, right? In Starfield, it was the best. But then something like this, where you're looking at the Savannah, they look very similar. Hey, Dennis, thank you for that super chat. Looking to upgrade the S90D 65 to 85 QM7K. Is it worth it? Oh, you're going for size. So you're going to have a hard time going back from OLED, Dennis. And the issue is off angle, the 85-inch QM7K is better than other LEDs, LCD TVs, but the infinite contrast off angle of the S90D is going to be pretty incredible. So, but you have that size, and I do love the immersion. So, man, this is a hard one. Brian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah,
65-inch
I think
OLED, but
this,
going 2 sizes up to the 85-inch. Oh, this is a
Dennis.
great
I
great
think you're going to
pause right
be.
here.
I think you're going to be okay because I think the size, as FOMO says, that's a massive jump. If you're going from 75 to say 77, you have to be. That's 20 inches. I think you'll be okay. Because I think, and off angle, to your point, FOMO, at 85, it's really hard to get off angle. So I would go for it, Dennis. I mean, the S90D is excellent. Its 65 is pretty small when it comes to, if you're going to jump up. If you're going, but I would say this, FOMO, if he's going from 65 to 75, it's too close. I wouldn't go there. But
Or if you go to
85,
70, I would go to 77-inch OLED because you have the B4, but the B4 won't be as bright as the S90D. So the QM7K will be bright or brighter. In a bright room, I'm fine with this because in a bright room, the infinite contrast is not as noticeable. So if you're in an ambient bright room, I would do it. But if you're in a really dark room, you may notice these artifacts that you'll see on the LCD TVs from QM7K, even Bravia 9 might have it. So it's really hard to go back from OLED. But 85-inch, bright room, then I do it. And then another super chat here. Hey Joshua, thank you for that. Samsung QN900D, 75-inch or LG Z3. Looking for a TV that I can use for many years. Not looking to upgrade for a while after this gaming and streaming. Okay, so Z3 adds nothing other than 8K, but
I sent
image
them both.
quality does nothing for you. Now the QN900D is 8K, and I prefer you go in OLED at 83 inches and get even more bang for the buck because I have challenged every 8K OLED. OLED against OLED, 4K or 8K is going to look too similar to tell. You will get
So,
more resolution out of an 83-inch OLED than an 85-inch 8K from
yeah.
6, 7, 8 feet away. So go OLED
So,
first at the largest size you can
yeah.
afford.
So it
Yeah,
looks
Brian.
like if you're looking at a QN900D and the Z3 only comes in 77. The 900D is smaller. I would bag them both and go for the 83-inch G4 because the G4 destroys the Z3 and the 900D for that matter. I sent you both videos, FOMO.
Oh, okay.
They're both excellent. So the second video has the fire girls, the dancing girls,
Mhm.
and then the first one is your black level. So the one with the soda, that's the black level one. Those
And
are
speaking
amazing
of
because
black
that'll
levels, look
show.
at the black levels on all these TVs. I raised the exposure, and they're a good match for for the Samsung, for the Bravia 9. So
What really
in
impresses
most content, they're really good.
the QM6K actually impresses me because it gets bright when it needs to. Um, the local dimming is great. The QM7K and the Bravia 9 are pretty close, but I love how the QM6K actually does push the brightness when it's needed.
The QM6K is impressing me more and more, given the price and what
Yeah,
it's doing here. Yeah, I'm just very
because now we're
impressed.
talking to FOMO. We can just go 85-inch QM6K and call it a day.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you get into the rest of the pricing. I mean, also, you got to say for TCL, man, putting these TVs out this early in the year is pretty incredible.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
bravo.
there you go. I like that exposure because that really does show where it is brighter than the. That's where the QM6K you'll see it fall apart a little bit in terms of its brightness.
Oh yeah, like this right here. Okay, I
There's a
think
there's a
we can
great
up.
lion scene.
Well, I want
Great
to up the
lion scene
game
from
because
Mobile.
I think it's safe to say that in normal content, I'll just go back one. So this one has some clouds that's coming up, and in normal content, here we go. Normal content, they are so similar.
Yeah.
You see that? I mean, the cloud details are all there. This is
Yeah,
what I call
Russell,
normal content.
that's a great comment, Russell. What's the QM8K going to do? And I think that's the point with what TCL is doing, where a lot of the other manufacturers are sending out just a few models, year after year, TCL's like, well, let's just do it. Let's put out 3 or 4. Try and compete with Samsung, right, FOMO? But Samsung, as we talk about, from the QN90 and the QN80, their quality drops off a cliff after those high-end
Yeah.
models, where TCL is saying, look, our 3 or 4 are going to be great. And it also, FOMO, their models actually outnumber Hisense at this point. Because Hisense really, not their Q6, but their Q7 and Q8 are their big models. And then they have really random TVs, the 8 and the UX, and they're not really something you want to buy. Did you get those videos, Soma?
I did. I see it.
So once you load those,
Pop
you'll
it
be
in.
all set.
Yeah. All right, I see it. Okay, I'll add that to our playlist as we go down the tracks. Oh, I'm gonna pause right here. Okay, so the reason I'm pausing here is I wanted to show this part off for you guys. So right here, where it says, right there where it says Japanese food restaurants, below that you see some lights. On the Bravia 9, there's a clarity there, and there's separation between the brightest part of those lanterns and the rest. Whereas on both QM6K and QM7K, that separation and that pop isn't there. Can you see that on your side, Brian?
No.
I'll show you right now.
Okay. Yep.
Right? There's a separation there. Now, it's only in this scene, right? Everything, the rest of the scene, they look nearly identical. But it's those little things, I think, that if you don't notice it, don't spend your money on the Bravia 9. If you do notice it, that's when you spend the money on the Bravia 9. But the Bravia 9 is not all perfect. There are some things where I think the QM7K did a phenomenal job. I just had to draw that to people's attention. Like here, they all look good, right?
Well, and FOMO, I think keeping in mind that the QM7K is officially not even out. I'm surprised it actually took an update. The Bravia 9's taken up 11 of them. So,
Yes.
it's always important. We compare anything to last year's. The Bravia 9's been updated to oblivion in a good way. So, it's all about how they're going to go forward and support them.
Right. And so Frank has a super chat, and you might have a question, Frank. Thank you for that super chat, Frank Dickman. Let me know what your question
Frank,
is.
how are you?
Real quick.
Yeah, follow up with your question, my friend.
Yeah. If I missed
Guys,
your question,
do us a favor and please hit
there.
like. We have 458 in the chat. It really helps these streams and videos. All we need is a like. That'd be great. Love you guys. Again, thank you so much for joining. That's a very telling shot right there. If I'm pausing. If you go back, see that's where the specular highlight hits.
You want to go to the black, the B?
One step.
Oh, actually, no. This is the one where Origamo on the Q6K was brighter than the Bravia 9. So we'll try that one again. There we go.
After this B, it'll turn into a black level. Yeah, right there too.
Okay. My camera is struggling.
It's breathing.
That'll help.
SB Digital, you're absolutely right. Brightness is not always better. We saw that from some of the Hisense TVs last year. I just compared the U8N or the U7N to the QM6K, and the brightness is a little wild. So it's all about what they want to. Also, Frank said, FOMO, no question. Just wanted to say thank you for your passion for TVs, having been watching you both for years and always enjoy your content. Frank, we appreciate it. We definitely recognize your profile picture. A lot of love. FOMO and I have been doing this for a long time, and it's great to see all you guys. So, Frank, I really appreciate it. So does FOMO.
Absolutely. Thank you, Frank, for your generosity.
So
really this is where the QM6K's lack of brightness. You notice that difference? That jellyfish on the QM6K? I mean, it's not terribly dim, but it is dimmer.
Now, FOMO, do you feel like when you're seeing that in person, my friend, does it look like it's clipping is the QM7K clipping it a bit? Because you are losing a little bit of that detail. I know the camera is a little hard to control.
Yes. I mean, it's not clipping. It's just slightly less detail here, slightly
Mhm.
less.
It's
Just
quite a bit less,
slightly.
actually, at least from what we can see.
Yeah. I mean, it's side by side. You notice slightly less. Now, what's interesting is on the QM6K, even though it's slightly dimmer, because it's dimmer, it's able to include all that detail, but it's dimmer, right? So this is why, 23-bit, 22-bit, it's all about the software.
Thank you so much, Redemption. I appreciate that. We both appreciate that. What's up, Tony? Tony Zeno in the house.
Oh, here's
Project
a great
Mayhem
one.
and
I wanted
Garrett.
to stop right here. So,
So you're looking at the clouds, the resolution of the clouds.
yes.
So you can really see, what you guys can see is what Bravia 9 is known for is the gradients and resolving the
Yes.
content to where other TVs are brighter, but they turn into a blob. The Bravia 9, like the reference monitor, wants to keep the shapes of the sun inside, where even the QM6K, which is not as bright, is still losing the detail. And that's what
There's
the
a lot
Bravia
of
9,
clarity. You see
yeah.
where I pointed
And
that
that's where
out?
the,
The
and
clarity in the
FOMO, that's
Bravia
where the,
9 is amazing.
but FOMO, that's where the Bravia 9 is also okay blooming. That's what you guys will find
And it's
interesting when
not
that
blooming. That's the
RGB comes
thing.
up.
The Bravia 9 made it a
It's not.
rule not to bloom at all. It's willing to dim, but it wants to preserve all that detail. And right there, that's quite
Well,
amazing.
well, Project Mayhem, what would you like us to use? Spears and Munsell? I mean, these are 4K, 4K 60. I mean, they're about as good as they get. It's not like it's a YouTube crappy demo. These are very high end demos that are 5 to
And it
10,000
even
nits.
says 2,000 nits. It tells you exactly
It's
how many
2,000
nits
nits.
and where everything is.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I
this
mean,
is a good
when you
one.
get into Spears and Munsell, as much as we love that, the frame rate is a nightmare for the camera, and it's boring after a while. So we are using the highest end content we can.
I mean, we could
We're not going to
put
be
on
using
Spears and
Blu-ray,
Munsell, but it doesn't do much for you, I don't think. I don't
but
think
you
there's
guys think
enough
it's gonna?
content on it.
No.
So in this one, the QM7K is slightly brighter, but it doesn't mean it's more pleasant. It's just it's slightly brighter here, and it's so slight that it's not a big difference. But both are brighter than the QM6K, slightly. I wouldn't say the QM6K is dim, but the HDR impact on the Bravia 9 and QM7K, there's more HDR impact, and that's why you're paying a little bit more for the QM7K.
Yeah. Now, who wins in terms of value? The QM6K beats them all in terms of value. So
Yeah, actually,
the
yeah.
price.
Let me put that up. That's a great question. I just joined. In summary, who wins outright and who wins in value? Well, so far, it's not done yet. So far, the Bravia 9 is in the lead for image clarity when it's really bright and you have a lot of complicated parts of the scene within that brightness. The Bravia 9 resolves it all, but it's around 2,000 nits that's doing that pretty well. You'll see as it gets brighter and brighter, can the Bravia 9 keep it up? Now, obviously, this content doesn't exist outside of YouTube. So even if the QM7K or QM6K does it better, you're not going to see that in real movie content. So here we're actually pushing the limits of what you're going to see in real movie content.
And FOMO, we have an HVA panel. The WHVA panels aren't out this year. It's all
There is no
HVA.
WHVA panel this year. This is the Crystal Glow panel
Yeah.
on
Yep.
the QM7K. The QM6K has the HVA. It's the next generation. And,
Yep.
oops,
So there's a comment about WHVA. There isn't any this year.
only Samsung has it on their 8K this year. So Samsung has been confirmed to use WHVA on its QN900F. Actually, I was going to show you this. You'll like this, Brian. You'll like this detail. So we expect the WHVA to be more broadly introduced to all the TVs next year, but this year the only TV that's been confirmed to have WHVA is the Samsung 8K TV.
Which, to be honest, I didn't notice it actually. It was better viewing angle, but it wasn't like it was, oh my god.
Yeah.
Not that I would know though.
And for those of you who are joining us, the reason why we use Jennifer Gallo's content is if you go to the HDR Super Channel, every video, she specifically tells you what her luminance level is going to be for that video. 1,000 nits, 4,000 nits, 10,000 nits, 6,000 nits, 5,000 nits, right? That allows me to double check. Oh, here we go. Let me stop right here.
And the reference monitor has conveyed that. So
yeah, and I've double checked. So I've double checked with my reference monitor, and consistently, Jennifer does such a great job with nailing the peak luminances so that I can compare the TVs and say, hey, okay, before I go any further, this is important. This is why I stopped at this slide. So this is what we're talking about, right?
hi, Lisa.
There's so much detail. So Brian, there's so much detail in that cement reflection on the Bravia 9 that is completely lost on both the TCL. Now, this is where I'm going to see if dynamic tone mapping detail brings it back, because I think this is why you're going to say, wait, why don't you put it on detail? Doesn't detail mean it'll bring it back? So let's see.
What's the so
you notice that it got brighter?
So
did not bring it back.
But the Sony is what I bet you if you put on that micro contrast, it'll come back.
On the TCL?
TCL, yeah.
Let's see. Like I said, micro contrast does nothing. I don't know why it's even there.
Really?
But
well, how about on the QM6K? Because it works on the QM6K. Is it doing nothing on the? You know why? Because you're in filmmaker. I bet you. I'm surprised you even have it.
Well, and that's the problem. I mean, I guess I could go to movie and we'll see what happens in movie.
Because it was very strong in the other presets.
Detail priority, local.
What's up, Big C Dub?
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Micro contrast, you can see the image doesn't change at all. See?
Well, check it on the QM6K because it worked with the QM6K. I wonder if it's not enabled. Just see if it does something on the Q. Okay. Max, what's up, brother?
Dynamic contrast. Yeah. Okay, so let's try the QM6K.
Max, when we come on your live stream, man, I thought phone 1 hour we're going to join you for a party. What's going on? Let's do it.
So let's do it, Max. Doesn't help.
Big C Dub, what's up, my friend? Always love seeing you, brother.
Nope, doesn't do anything. See, the image doesn't change.
Try playing it. I don't think it does anything when it's paused.
It doesn't do anything. I mean, I've complained that micro contrast is like a toggle for kicks and giggles, but it doesn't do anything.
It's not plugged in. It's like having a. I think. Oh, did we miss a Shuva? Did we miss a? Might have missed a super chat, bro. From
yeah.
Shuva.
Let me hit some more super chats while we run the content.
What's up, John? How are you? But the QM6K does not look anywhere near as vibrant as the other. Actually, right there is where. Pause that.
Okay, there's a lot of super chats I missed.
But are you back in? Were you back in the filmmaker mode for QM7K?
I am. Here, let me check right now for you. Oh, you're right. Let me put it back to filmmaker mode. There we go.
Okay. So we mean specular highlights. Where to go?
Okay, I want to show you guys this as well. So this is a bright scene.
Specular highlights are like the brightest scenes of specular, small highlights, jewelry, stars, lights. Yeah. Yep. So like any TV can be full screen brightness. What you want is the small highlights.
Is that interesting? Do you see that?
Yep.
That bright fluorescent sign with a tennis player stretching or golf player or whatever, on the Bravia 9, I see all the detail and it's still bright, but I lose, basically it's clipped, right? So it's just software. They can do it. They have enough dimming zones. It's just they're clipping.
Yeah, they will.
And you're losing that detail. So, I mean, you kind of see him, but you don't see that clarity of detail like you're seeing on the Bravia 9. But everything else looks the same. The rest of the scene looks so similar, but it's those little things.
But FOMO, that's what we've always said. The strength of the Bravia 9 is not trying to be the brightest. It's always trying to get as bright as it can while retaining the detail. That's what it does better than any other mini LED out there.
Right. Hey, boss, I see your super chat. Thank you. If you have questions, let us know. B9, is it really not worth the price delta, A95L owner? The B9 is a completely different type of TV. It's for HDR impact in a semi-lit room. You're going to get that. And we're going to have content that does that actually. And you're going to get like Alpha. I have Alpha, Brian, your favorite movie. And you'll see, oh my gosh, it's
The
like
Academy Award winning
pop,
Alpha.
right? OLED cannot get to that level of brightness and pop.
No.
But then you have infinite contrast with the A95L. I would say if you get a Bravia
Yeah.
9, you're going to go size with that. So you're in a slightly larger room, brighter room, 85-inch Bravia 9. Now you're getting that full cinematic impact that the A95L simply cannot deliver because QD OLED, and that includes the S95D, just doesn't get that bright. The APL is lower. Everything is less bright, but that's for the impactful movies that you're watching in a semi-lit room, right? In a completely dark room, I think A95L is great. And also at the 85-inch size, A95L doesn't have anything at that size. So you're getting both size and impact.
So when I compared them, FOMO, the Bravia 9 beat the A95L, but it was 85 versus 77. So if there was an 83-inch A95L, I would always choose it over the Bravia 9. But the fact that there isn't one, the Bravia 9 wins by immersion and really good picture quality. But at the same 65, don't even bother. What's up, Getty?
I love Getty's question. Thank you for that super chat, Getty. This is what I want to get to. We should watch movies for this, but we have some more content that we're going to show you to see the differences. Is the Bravia 9 $2,000 better than the QM7K? And so this goes to, I think, everything that we talk about when it comes to, well, actually, let's stop right here.
When it comes to value, what for some people, a few percent is worth that. That's why FOMO always has the car analogy. For a little more horsepower, refinement, you might spend the money, but it's a little hard as these TVs are getting better and better, Getty, for me to justify $2,000. So that I would say no.
So $2,000, first of all, if you're struggling, it's not worth $2,000, obviously. But if your budget is $5,000 and you can spend $4,000, you can spend $3,000, or you can spend $1,000, but your budget's $5,000 and you're comfortable spending $5,000, and the Bravia 9 is like currently what, $4,000, right? $4,000 and change, $4,200. I definitely get the Bravia 9 because you're comfortable with $5,000, and the Bravia 9. I mean, let's right here, this image right here. This is why I stopped here, right? So I'm going to change exposure. You can see the Bravia 9 has that specular pop, that 3D pop you guys always want. In this scene, it's only on the Bravia 9. The QM6K is flat. The QM7K is slightly better, but the Bravia 9, it pops. And we know that it's also accurate to this color. But because it's so much brighter, it looks like it's unsaturated. It isn't. Let me decrease exposure so you guys can see better.
Well, and you guys keep in mind,
it's just, it has a bit more of that texture, but that's what you're paying the $2,000 for. So that's a really good question, Getty, because this scene kind of, is it worth it to you to get that slight difference? And the QM7 or QM6K, look how far behind it is, that part of the scene.
Well, and Getty, the challenge will always be when you have a TV from last year, you're talking about the QM7K came out. It's not even officially out yet. He just got it off a truck. So you're talking about the launch price of the TCLs versus the Bravia 9 a year later. Well, not a year. It didn't come out this time last year. So you have to keep that in mind that the Bravia 9's been reduced in price, and it's still more expensive by that much. So these TVs have just launched. So that's always a different part of the
that's a
value.
really good point, Brian. Many people have reminded me that the 8 series, TCL's very first mini LED ever introduced in America, actually the very first mini LED backlit TV ever in America was the TCL 8 series. Very expensive, but it took 18 months for its firmware to be fully baked, and it was a completely different TV 18 months later. And so here you see the Bravia 9 is a completely different TV than it was 8 months before with all the firmware updates. And I'm stopping here because look at the sun, Brian, just above the sun. You see all that clarity? That's on the Bravia 9. It's not on the QM7, and it's not on the QM6K. So to your point, is that worth $2,000? I mean, at what point is it worth it, right? Maybe black and white. Is color TV worth $2,000? Some people might say, you know what? I'm fine with black and white TV. I'm fine with 1080p.
Well, now you guys know why the reference monitor gets used, because without the reference monitor, you wouldn't see that the Bravia 9 is going to match that monitor. So, Boss, real quick, I know Boss had a question to go with his super chat.
Yeah, I saw his super chat, but I didn't see his question. Let me imagine real
his
quick.
question was about the G4.
I found it. Here we go.
Yep.
Nope, that was not it.
Boss,
So
it was probably one before that.
you have a timestamp for that?
I do not. I can't see timestamps on this side.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I gave you the LG. Oh, here we go. Hey, FOMO and Brian, I just bought a 77-inch G4 to upgrade my 77-inch C2. Did I make the right choice? Starting to have some regrets. If you're only watching Columbo, the answer is no. You made the wrong choice. But because the G4 is a brightness HDR impact machine, if you're watching Friends, and I've said this to all of you guys, right? If you're just watching Friends and Netflix, the QM6K is going to look exactly the same more often than not. But if you're playing video games and you have HDR impact and HGIG, the G4 suddenly is worth it. If you're watching sports and you need a bright hockey scene that doesn't dim, the C2 cannot come close to the brightness of the G4 watching hockey. In vivid mode or sports mode, the G4 will destroy the C2. But, boss, what is it you watch? If you're telling me you watch, $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman and all the 70s shows that we love, you should have kept the C2 because the G4 doesn't bring anything new to the table for you. So let us know, what is the content you watch? Because really, you have to match the TV to your content. Like right here, this scene, as much as I love what the Bravia 9 is doing, am I going to notice it in reality, right?
Yeah.
That's why.
And Boss,
if
you're purchasing a G4, chances are you're watching a lot of HDR content. For me, as long as you're watching HDR, the G4 destroys it. So I think you made the right choice. And the Alpha 11 is better than the Alpha 9. It's better in every way. So you made the totally right decision. The challenge for you is you're going from 77 to 77. So without the size jump, you're going to feel like it's not a big. Your eyes are going to get used to it. So if you didn't get rid of it, compare them yourself next to each other. If you did, trust me, the G4 is better. So I wouldn't have.
I think I know what you're going to say for King's question, Brian. Between the Bravia 9 and the G4, which one will make my games look good? I'm assuming HDR gaming, right? Either Xbox Series X, PS5, or PC. Brian?
Any OLED's going to look better than the Bravia 9. It's just the micro contrast in gaming is so important because the local dimming on many LEDs to me is just not effective in gaming like it is with even a B4 would look better.
And staying on this gaming theme, trying to decide between the Bravia 9 and LG C5, I don't have the best viewing habits and do a lot of gaming, so I worry about burn-in. What should I get? Get the G5 because the G5 or the G4 because they have a 5-year panel replacement warranty that includes burn-in, so you could do whatever you want, play games, they're okay with that. And if it ever burns in, they'll replace the panel, and you just pay for the labor, and apparently labor isn't that expensive. It's the panel that's truly expensive. Now, the Bravia 9, the image quality for gaming, it's not designed to be a gaming TV. It's a cinema-first TV. So if you do 15% gaming, 85% movie watching, Bravia 9, I'm comfortable with that. But if you're like 50% gaming, I go with a G series to avoid, or G4, or G3. G3, G4, G5, 5-year panel warranty. That's what I recommend.
Yeah, I mean your name is Josh Gaming, so I think you kind of got to go with an OLED. I'd be comfortable with the C series just simply because OLED is not a thing of the past, but it's much more difficult to do than it used to be. If you want to burn it in, you can make it happen. If you want to just run a game paused for the rest of your life, but they'll dim. There's screensavers. You can do screen saving on your Windows. There's a million things you can do. I would grab it. But if I was going to get a gaming TV, the Bravia 9 would not be the gaming. I would go with the Samsung QN90D or QN95D because the gaming features, Game Motion Plus is great. So if you're worried about burn-in, I would either go with one of the TCLs you see here because they have great gaming features now, or one of the Samsungs. They have 144 hertz, 1080p, 280. So they have a lot of different features. Spencer in the chat, what's up, Spencer? How you doing, brother?
And
I'm not seeing you in the chat in a minute.
Ethan has a super chat. FOMO, when do you realistically think we will see a QDEL, that's quantum dot self-emissive, consumer television for sale in the United States? Do you see it replacing OLED and LCD? So QDEL is very exciting. It's when each quantum dot is self-emitting. It doesn't need any additional backlight or anything. Ooh, this is where I'm going to stop. It doesn't need any additional backlight or anything else. So, and it's very efficient. The issue is it's still in its earliest prototype. And so the question is, when do I think it's going to come? So first of all, we've only seen prototypes less than 20 inches large, right? We're talking 16 inch, 18 inch, right? Laptop size. And we don't know what the lifetime is going to be. It looks like it could produce full color now. And we don't know what the price is going to be realistically. There's a big difference between a 16-inch laptop QDEL display and a 65-inch. And given that consumers are no longer looking at 65 and edging towards 75, 77, QDEL has a problem because first, it has to be better than QD OLED at 65 or get larger. And how much is that going to be? So realistically, it's going to take, in my opinion, at least 5 years for it to hit the size and the price where it can be, well, what Getty said, is it worth $2,000 more? QDEL might be slightly better, but is it $2,000 better than Quantum Dot OLED? And that is the $2,000 question. I don't think so, because what QDEL promises is high efficiency, stability, no burn-in, but not necessarily brightness. And you guys love brightness, so maybe it has a longer warranty. I mean, that is probably the biggest benefit. It's not cheaper to make. Once prices go down and it becomes cheaper to make than OLED, okay, I'm all for it. But QDEL is not being pushed as a bright TV solution, just so you know. And so this is an interesting scene, Brian. You notice the QM7K, slightly brighter, but you lose a lot of detail in that Christmas tree in the middle,
Yep.
whereas the
I'm
Bravia
looking
9
more at the
has it.
light.
So, like, where's the impact? You know, HDR impact is in the QM7K, but the detail and some impact is in the Bravia 9, and the QM6K is more like an SDR image here, kind of flat because it doesn't get bright enough to push that out.
Well, and that first bright light closer to the camera, you know, it's almost like even though it's blowing out, you're losing that impact from the Bravia 9. And the
Yeah,
QM6K has no specular highlights at all.
no, no.
That's
And
one thing
this is
I'll say with the
why,
QM6K is I'm not seeing the specular pop on the QM6K. It's a little flat, almost everything that we see.
and this is why I tell people QM6K is a great everyday TV, news, old TV shows, new TV shows. But when it comes to movies with HDR impact, we're not talking like Oscar winning movies, right? There's no HDR impact there, believe me. It's going to be very similar to what you saw with the Lions. But like Jennifer, her content brings out these details that you're going to miss. And,
She
and
films it for that purpose. I said
oh, yeah.
purpose.
Oh, you know what's crazy,
Rock those
Brian?
other, rock those other videos, bro. I'll show you.
So this is very interesting. What I just pointed out is you can see details in that room, the fluorescent light. There's a little pull to turn on and off the fluorescent light. You can't see that on the QM7K and the QM6K through that window. I can see it from here. That's why I pointed it out. So that clarity of detail is what you're paying for. Is it $2,000 more, as Giddy asks? I don't know. I mean, if you can afford it, it is. But if you can't, then, you're not going to be looking for that, right? What were you saying, Brian? I think I missed your question.
So put in that local dimming to the one I sent you.
Okay.
Bruce Walker in the house. What's up, Bruce? Bruce sent a super chat.
So you
Bruce is
have
actually
two. This is the first
he is
one?
in the one with the soda glass is the first
The
one. I think you
Blacks,
should.
True Blacks
Yeah.
demo? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let me run that. Okay. Why don't you
Bruce
answer some
Bruce
questions while
Walker's
I put it in?
yeah. Bruce sent a super chat. Bruce is flying right now. Bruce Walker of TCL. What's up, Bruce?
Hey, Bruce. I hope you're
Bruce is
enjoying your
assured
QM7K magic.
he's assured me that my QM7K will be on the way, so we will have that. FOMO just went and broke it out of a store. What's up in layman's terms? Let's see. Somebody had a good question. One of you guys asked, let's see, Frost, he asked why we stream together so much. I can't remember where it went. So the reason why you see us on stream together is that we are a team in this. So it's not really about getting more subscribers from. You actually share the same community. If you guys are asking, one of you guys asked why we were on camera so much together. So what we do is we do the live streams on FOMO's channel, and then we do the tech therapy videos on my channel. So
Well,
we
more
have the
importantly,
large,
while I'm doing
audience.
stuff, you can answer questions, so there's none of that
Yeah,
awkward silence, which I dislike
yeah.
personally.
I was just talking. You interrupted, son of a. Anyway. Yeah, the reason why you'll see us do these dual live streams is, again, live streaming on FOMO's channel. We get to engage with as many as you as possible. And then on my channel, we do what's called tech therapy. They're just him and I interviewing each other. But it's not really about trying to get more exposure for either one of us. We do share the same community. Let's see, get into FOMO will answer the super chats as I can't bring them up here.
Yes, I'm going to answer the next super chat right now. All right. Sorry, guys. Okay. We're up to Ethan.
So far, G5 for me.
FOMO, when do you realistically think we'll see it? Oh, I just answered that one. Okay. Jorge Duran. Should I wait for a better 98-inch or go with an 85-inch OLED? I can control lighting in a room and will sit about 12 feet away. If you can control lighting, the 85-inch OLED will always look better. Even an LG B5, B4 83-inch is going to look amazing. But something is to be said about a larger TV. Brian and I have discussed this. I would rather watch a 115-inch projector than a 75-inch OLED in a light-controlled room, right? In a light-controlled room,
Yeah.
a 120-inch projector, a 115-inch TV, it's all, to me, it's about the immersion. So I really enjoy immersive content, whether it's movies or whatnot. And I have a hard time going smaller because I think brightness is one thing, but size is something that has the most impact on your viewing. And with that in mind, 85 to 98, you should go 85 to maybe 110. Keep that in mind. If there's room for 110 one day, but I'd still go with the 98, especially if you're 10 feet away, 11 feet away. That 98-inch makes such a difference. Oh, wow. Yeah, the QM7K looks pretty bright here, Brian, in that scene.
Yeah, how do you like that scene? Well, look for what you want to do. If you can go back to it, look at the detail when the glass kind of emerges for the first time.
Is it that one?
Yep.
Tell me when
Or
to
you can
stop.
go, it starts, go back a little more. Or no, go forward a little more. There's two of them. So just keep going. Keep a go, 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 keep a go. Coming up. There it is.
That one?
Yep.
And
So you're going to see look for the detail within the glass. So if you want to pause it there, you look at the brightnesses between the three, and then you see the
so the
detail on the Bravia
QM6K
9.
matches. Now, remember this one, this is why we talk about it. This one is not graded to be bright, guys. It's under 1,000 nits. So that's why the QM6K looks identical to the Bravia 9. It actually can resolve this brightness. And most content is graded under 1,000 nits. This is one such content. So if you're watching this very vibrant content, you're thinking it's bright. It's not bright enough. This is under 1,000 nits. Look at the QM6K. It looks just like the Bravia 9, which tells me a lot about, or it should tell you a lot, what kind of content are you watching, right? So this is a really good one to compare real brightness content, not super bright, just Netflix level bright, and that's what this is.
Yep. So if you move forward,
see, based on this,
yeah.
I get the QM7K because it doesn't separate, it doesn't push the TVs to the breaking point, and that's why we have different examples, because you know what they're being graded at.
So move forward. You got somebody in chat thinking that I interrupt you too much. So clearly you just started watching us if you think I'm interrupting FOMO too much.
Oh, we interrupt each other all the time. You don't know how many times I interrupt Brian.
How many times I hear on my channel he talks too much, you talk too much, guys? We're live. I mean, we have to be able to stop each other. So move a little more forward, FOMO. You're going to see it as it's going to come up as like a drip. There it is.
All right. Here, let me take this off. 1 second. Oh yeah. I mean, like right here, this kind of content, indistinguishable. Their black levels are amazing. Both of them. There's no blooming. Let me turn up the exposure so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
Let me see if I can find that. You know, I'll find the.
So I
I'll give you a
turn up the exposure all the way, and look at the black level on the QM6K and the QM7K and the Bravia 9. They're very close. Because I turned up the exposure, it looks like the QM6K is slightly crushing, but you're not going to notice this because those are really dark areas of the scene. But the QM7K and the Bravia 9, their black levels are pretty much spot on with each other. Although the color, I noticed that the QM7K has slight color differences from the QM6K.
So, Foam, I'll go over to 904.
Yeah, you need to timestamp your sections, right?
Yeah, 904. And then turn the exposure to where it's more realistic for you, like where it's kind of what it is. Because this is a great scene by Jen, and you can just let it run, and you guys can watch the local dimming. Because the QM6K does great in this scene. I'm wondering how the QM7K does.
All right.
It's going to be a very slow drip. Now, again, guys, keep in mind the QM6K has been out for a bit. It's got a few updates. Bravia 9 has been updated a million times. And the QM7K literally is not even officially out yet. So let it run for like 3 seconds, and you'll see like a drip start at the top of the scene.
Okay. I think maybe I'm overexposed it a little bit.
Yeah, the camera might struggle with it.
All right, so I'm hyperexposing it, and the QM6K has the best blooming control, but it doesn't get as bright. So not being as bright helps with blooming, clearly.
Yeah, because you have it exposed. How does it look over there? Not as exposed as you're seeing it by eye.
I can see the QM6K is not as bright. I cannot tell blooming because the blooming control is so good. I'm hyperexposing it, so you see the subtle differences, but you can't tell that they're blooming.
Okay.
So yeah, very excellent.
But that's a killer test, though, isn't it, FOMO? I mean, it's such a slow drip.
Let me see which one's brighter, though. Let me turn down exposure a bit. So the Bravia 9 is definitely brighter in this scene as well. So it's an excellent one. Bravia 9 gets a little bit brighter than the QM7K. Both are definitely slightly brighter than the QM6K. And I think, let me know if you guys are ready for movies. I think that's going to be my next demo.
And then just put it.
Let me finish all the super chat. What was that, Brian?
Then go into that last video I gave you because I want to see that the fire girls at 604.
Ah, right.
Then we'll move on to movies. Brian, what video is that? So I can, you know what? I'll put it in the chat. Hold on, guys.
All right, it's in.
So who asked for that? SG. I just put it in the chat. You should be able to see it. Wait, maybe I did not. Hold on. But I put it in the wrong chat. Hold on. Let me put it. All right, here's the demo I just did for FOMO. This is on Jen's channel.
It's called the 4 Elements of Life. Okay.
Yep. There's I just put it in. Oh yeah. So that one that should be 604. Jason, I missed your question. I'm sorry. What was your question, my friend? Actually, I think it's 604.
Okay.
And guys, I'll put this one in the chat too if you want to see. And for those of you that are watching, that next demo that FOMO's going to show you, right there, back should be, yep, right. Let that lava flow, and then leave the exposure to something that, yeah, there we go. This is a great demo. So guys, you're looking for the fire, you're looking for trailing, you're looking for shadow detail, which right now the QM7K has the most. So you're looking for blooming around the flames, but the shadow detail behind the girls. Do you see that, FOMO? The windows behind them?
Yep.
So here I like the QM7K the best.
Yeah, it's quite impactful.
You see the windows behind them are clear as day. That's the key.
Hey, my Bravia 9 has 26,000 hours. What's the life of an OLED? It's been getting longer and longer. Depends on what you get. If you get the G2345, it has a 5-year panel warranty. So obviously they believe that one is going to last the longest. Just remember that after a certain number of hours, OLED has a shorter half-life in terms of brightness. So it will dim over time. After 10 years, your OLED will be dimmer than your LCD, mini LED TV equivalent, if that helps. But as far as the life of your TV, it would fail unrelated to the panel. So forget the OLED. You have other things that fail electronically before your OLED panel itself fails. So it's hard to say. If you watch ratings longevity test, the TVs that fail, it's not the panel, it's like electrical this and that and the other,
Yeah.
that overheat and burn out. And it is not even the panel technology itself. So we're at the point where I think the panel technology is pretty good. It's the implementation.
And then FOMO at the end of this video is a great fire scene.
Okay.
Almost towards the end. Thank you. We'll move over to the movies.
Loving this
So what
compartment
is
from
your thought?
34,000 feet. Thank you, Bruce. Was
Yeah,
that?
Bruce is flying around. Bruce is flying around. Bruce Walker in the house.
You know what? I'm gonna answer. When you say, what do you think? I think Getty's comment is perfect. Brightness versus detail, I'll choose brightness. So what is it you value? There is no right answer, right? If you choose brightness over detail, which is impact, transient brightness that really leaves you remembering that image because your eyes are still seared by the brightness, you're getting your money's worth with a QM7K. You get that. If you value detail, slower moving scenes where you pause or stop and smell the roses, that's what the Bravia 9 is about. There is no right answer, but one costs a little bit more than the rest. But Brian, which is it you prefer? Brightness versus detail?
Well, brightness, actually. Because Getty, we've talked about this. You wouldn't know the details missing without the reference monitor or without them all side by side. And I think, what Getty's trying to say too, FOMO, is that specular highlight hit is a few seconds. It's not like it's detail that you're seeing throughout a movie. So that explosion, that fire, that's something that I look at for that HDR impact, I think is what you're trying to say, Getty. So that detail that we're pouring over with the Bravia 9 is something that you're not going to notice, I think, all that much unless you're really having long shots. High Def News, what's up, my friend? Good to see you, brother. Thank you for all you do.
And Brian, I think that's worth discussing for the people in chat because they ask, well, who's the winner? If you're looking for brightness, then the QM7K matched the Bravia 9 more often than not.
Yep.
Now we're going to look at some real movie content that does require it to be bright. And so here's an example, right? This menu, the Bravia 9 suddenly dropped in brightness. It knows it's a menu and it's an SDR. So that's just something that it adjusts based on what it thinks you're watching. So we're going to go to HDR highlights because everybody wants to know specular highlights. That's what this QM7K is supposed to do very well. And we're going to test it with my favorite scenes that have great specular highlights. And Max, I see your super chat. We'll come to that one next.
What is the difference between natural black and black crush? Simple is that the black crush is where it's the TV's crushing out the detail. So if you have natural black and that black has detail in it, you'll see it. If you get black crush, it's just plain black. It all depends on what the scene requires. So black crush is where there's complete loss of detail, just straight black. You won't see anything else. So that hope that answers your question. Sometimes older OLEDs always crush the black, so you thought that their contrast ratio was it's just better, but they would do that. It would just be a black scene. You wouldn't see any detail. So the challenge for OLEDs is maintaining the detail and having the perfect blacks. That's always hard.
So in this scene, the QM7K has the least brightness. This is the infamous pan scene that everyone likes to use. The Bravia 9 is the brightest. So you get both brightness, HDR impact, and specular highlight resolution, right? Now, this is where we play with the settings, and hopefully maybe there's a setting that will bring some of that out on the QM7K, and this is why I'm leaving the detail priority. So it's on. Is it better off? On? Off? What do you prefer, Brian? On? Detail priority? On? Or off?
One more time.
On? I think on it more matches the Bravia 9 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, off you lose. I mean, you get a little bit brighter, but you lose a lot of that specular detail. But maybe the brightness is what's more important, right? You go to detail priority, it dims it a little bit, but the Bravia 9 gets you both. That brightness and the specular. Whereas on the QM6K on the far right, it's just kind of flat all around. But that's what the $2,000 is. That's to Getty's point. Is that little scene worth $2,000 to you? And we're going to let the scene play so that you guys can see what. And I'm going to leave detail priority on so you get that full impact. And then in terms of the scene itself, does it affect the scene if it's just slightly less?
Yeah, see that shot right there. I love FOMO.
I'll pause on that
right
shot.
there. Well, his face was not visible on the others at all.
Yeah. Well, because I underexposed because that sun was so bright. I'll correct the exposure. The minute we get to his face, we'll correct the exposure.
I can't wait to see the QM7. And I still have the Bravia 7 too, so I'll compare them. Because you have the Bravia 9, I'll compare it to the Bravia 7.
So right there. Isn't it amazing? The QM6K looks more like the Bravia 9. That's because I have detail priority on. I think that kind of brightened his face a little bit. And this is why I like it off. It feels more accurate off. I mean, it's very subtle, so it's not like a big deal. If you're in a bright room, you should keep it on.
And the QM6K always reminds me a little bit more of a freaking OLED. It reminds me of the B4 a little bit.
You see, Brian, go into detail priority, his face kind of lightens up. Turn it off.
Yep.
And it's more accurate.
It's more accurate to the director, yeah.
Look at the skin tone. The skin tone, the QM6K out of the box is more accurate than the QM7K. Who's ever tuning the QM6K did a better job than the guy tuning the QM7K.
I think it's been out. We're going to see that get an adjustment. SGX, congratulations on the C4. That's a great price, by the way. 77 inches, enjoy it. I mean, the C4 is excellent. Enjoy 144 hertz gaming and Dolby Vision.
Oh, the greatest showman. And I'm going to pause and we'll get Max in there.
What's up, Max? I love these side-by-sides. This is the only way to make a purchase decision. Thank you for your perspectives on content related to TV performance. Our pleasure, Max. Thank you so much. And remember, these TVs also, the TCL, I keep saying that the QM6K is literally not even officially out. So expect there to be more adjustments and refinements for it in terms of its software.
So you ready for the surprise? The QM6K brightness matches, if not a touch brighter than Bravia 9 in the specular highlights, and the QM7K is killing it in the specular highlight in her hat.
It is.
And so, although the Bravia 9 looks great, this scene specifically, the QM7K did better.
Well, it looks like the Bravia 9 is actually losing the sparkles altogether on her hat.
Yes, because it doesn't want to
Yeah,
bloom, but
even
you'll
when you
see.
raise the exposure, yeah. So this is
Yeah.
where specular highlights, and this is what's funny, FOMO. Right here, this is what Bruce Walker was talking about. Is the specular highlights having that sparkle like an OLED, where even on the Bravia 9, they're not quite as shiny, but they do pop, and they popped at the lower exposure is the key.
Yeah. And if I turn down the exposure a bit, you'll see which one sparkles the most, right? The Bravia 9 practically disappears. So in order of brightness, it's the QM7K,
Yeah.
QM6K, and the Bravia 9. And this is the greatest showman. It's not a particularly bright movie, but it does have specular highlights. And this is the one that we always use because it's so hard for the TVs to make a choice. Sony made its choice because it doesn't want to bloom, but it's not bright enough to really bloom. So the QM7K, almost as if it designed its TV around this scene to win this scene, and it did.
So FOMO for the audience, don't run away. I'll ask you this. When he comes back, we'll ask him.
Go ahead.
So for you, FOMO, let's pretend we're not side by side, right? You're walking in the room. Would you go ahead and say that you think the QM7K has greater HDR impact? Let's just say forget about the details. Which one to you would
Uh,
have that pop?
the QM7K has the QM7K. So more often than not, its HDR impact matches the Bravia 9. In some situations, it's slightly better, like right here. And in those rare circumstances, the Bravia 9 beats it, like what we saw in the Japan, Tokyo scene, where you had the lanterns and the Bravia 9 had more clarity. So where the impact is slow moving and requires clarity, the Bravia 9, that's its strength. But if you're looking at just impact HDR, the QM7K nails it. And I think in this scene, we should go off angle. What do you think? To see if you're losing
Yeah.
color. I mean, this is a good color set. So we're going to go off angle, everyone. And now the QM6K, because of the way it's positioned, you're not going to see off angle as well as on the Bravia 9. And I think the colors are just slightly off, and it's my camera, I think.
So Drummer has a great comment. Where do you go? Drummer has a great comment saying most people would prefer the QM7K. I think you're right. I think it's all about when people walk in and say,
Let me find a
okay,
better scene.
which one stands out? And that's what I was trying to say to FOMO about accuracy is if you're not looking at the what we know to be accurate, I think more times than not, the TCL QM7K looks more
Oh,
punchy.
wait, our favorite movie. This is
Did you bring
perfect,
Alpha
right?
on? Oh my
I have
god!
to. So this is Alpha. This is all about HDR impact, my friends.
Tried G4, Brian, but she said no. MLA is dead now. The G4 is still better than the C5, my friend. I hate to tell you that. C5 is going to be good, but it's not better than the G4. And the processor's not as good. So you're talking about the same difference.
So the Bravia 9 was designed to make a killing on this movie. And I lowered the
And this
exposure
movie is
so
worth
that
every penny, FOMO, because this movie
oh,
brought them all
I bought
kinds.
it
So
twice.
real quick, so funny story, guys. When we were at in LA, and we were Hugo and all these other guys were talking about the reference monitor. Alpha kept coming on, and I remember saying, "Is the movie any good?" And they're like, "Oh, it's terrible." So me and Foam were stuck watching this movie over and over
And
just because
everywhere.
it's only 4,000. It's only 4,000 net movie.
I mean,
Hey
tonight.
George. George, super chat from George, $5. Thank you, George. So, which 98 inch would you recommend? I play on a PS5, watch sports, and watch a lot of movies, or would you recommend a projector you guys rock? I mean, the TVs to me are very different. I would go with the highest end 98 inch you can, which I think probably is the QM8. As far as the most high end 98 that's out right this moment. Though the QM7K will have a 98 inch, the QM6K will have a 9. So if you want the one that's the best right now, I'd get probably the QM8. Right, the QM8 would be my favorite 98 inch as far as uh, its feature set. The other ones like the X90 is a little bit lower end than the QM8, so I'd probably go with the QM8 as far as the best 98 for me. What do you think, Foam? What's the best 98 for you? Would you say at this moment, not coming up this year?
Well, I would recommend projector if you want 120 inches, but at 98 inch, the TVs will look better for gaming. Uh, Okay, so I'm reviewing the Valerian projector right now, and I prefer the settings I get from a 98-inch TV, but I prefer the 120-inch immersion of the Valerian Pro 2. So the 120-inch is an extra
Which I'm
20
getting next
inches.
week, by the way.
Oh yeah. So 98 inch is great, and I would recommend it for gaming over a projector. Same size. But if you want immersion, you got to go like 120, 150. Now the projector stands on its own. So really quick on the impact, Brian, this is why people get the Bravia 9. You see how much it's brighter? How much brighter it is in this scene? It's
It's bright
brighter.
and it's right where it's supposed to be, where it's being
Yep,
called to be.
yep. And everywhere else it's the same, right? So the Kim 7K is doing a great job, but the Bravia 9, because this is the movie it was designed to make a killing
It
on,
was yeah.
it's doing
It
it.
was yeah. So I'd say if you put the G4 or the G5 in the scene, that area would probably just be white.
You wouldn't even get the yellow, right?
Yeah,
And look at the
would
QM6K, right?
even with the G5, yeah, it's designed. I mean, this is a movie that they tune it to.
Hey, thank you, MDS Random. Thanks for your hard work. We enjoy it.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much for your kindness and generosity, my friend.
Fail. And
So,
here's
guys,
again,
so
right?
far
This scene,
four
HDR
ninety nine.
Impact, Bravia 9.
We got 499 in the chat. Please hit like, guys. Again,
Oh,
FOMO's working
499. Did
hard
we ever
here.
break 500? You guys are so
We did
awesome.
break. I think we did break it briefly, but thank you guys for jumping in and spending time with us. Again, FOMO went out and bought the TV himself. The loaners would be here in about a week, so he went out there and got it tonight. So he went later last night, drove about an hour and change.
In the rain,
Hopefully, it
in
was
the
there
rain.
in the rain, and didn't know if it was going to be there, but appreciate his game. He could wait a week and have it like the rest of us, but he wanted to be early. And it's not because he wants to be first. It's more about just he's got that kind of passion. I'm not going to go out and buy it.
Well, the thing is, a lot of
So
people
respect.
actually want to buy this TV because of the deal, right?
Yeah,
So
of course.
I got the same Best Buy deals that you guys will be offered, which is $500 off with Best Buy credit, $999. I thought, you know what, $999. It's a TV that I expect to get more firmware updates. I'm going to tell Bruce Walker, hey, fix this, see if you could do this, because with slight tuning, it's not quite Bravia 9 level, but then again, does it need to be? Because you and Getty just nailed it. Okay, here it's brighter, but everywhere else, the QM7K might be slightly brighter. So this is movie content. Brian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Because the QM7K is not always winning. Does the Bravia 9 come off victorious, and we'll wait for the QM8K?
It's very hard. I mean, to me, the QM7K, when you add in the value of a TV that just came out versus the Bravia 9, I think most people would go for the brighter, more affordable QM7K.
I think it's
Unless you
close
really are a
enough.
big,
Yeah.
yeah, unless you're a big Sony fan. I mean, I think that the issues you're seeing with the QM7K as far as resolving the detail, I think they're going to fix with the firmware update. But I love what I'm seeing from the QM7K. Think about how far TCL has actually come that we're comparing it to a flagship Sony. That's pretty incredible. And the Bravia 9 is such a well refined machine. It really goes. It just is great everywhere. But the fact that these TVs are hanging in there is pretty amazing. And I think the QM7K beats it in some places.
So we're looking at shadow detail in
I
Game of
love the
Thrones.
specular. I love the
Oh,
specular
yeah.
highlights on the QM7K.
Okay, so this is a dark scene. In a dark room, you can see everything. So I just want to make sure you guys know that. And we're going to do anti-glare as well. I'll open the windows real quick. So something is amiss. Is it my exposure? Yeah, there's a little bit of splotchiness on the QM7K, just a touch. And you're not seeing that horse run at all. Okay, so the QM6K actually is an amazing TV. It's doing better in very difficult shadow detail. So this is something I have to freeze for Bruce Walker to fix. Let me take this out. Thank you, In Dreams, for that comment. So Brian, what do you think? It needs some fixing, huh? Too many dimming zones.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's actually offering. It's putting in some artifacting that's not present on the others. Is it blocking, or what are you seeing up close?
It's not as visible up close because I'm hyper exposing. It's emphasizing these splotchy areas, and it's definitely processing. But the QM6K is doing really well. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's been out longer. I think
Excuse me.
they've already updated it a couple times. Bless you.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely needs a firmware update. I mean, it could be. Is it a reflection? No, it's not a reflection. See, when the scene goes off, it goes away. Definitely, there is something happening with the processing.
It's almost like it's adding a haze to it. That's not
Yeah,
a bit. That's not on the
the
others.
haze shouldn't be there.
Local dimming struggling on this too in the corner of Jon Snow. Not to mention these scenes are terrible, man. They're a torture test, but they're awful.
Oh, this
Game of
is a
Thrones is
torture
so
test, no
terrible.
doubt.
Ugh. Director's intent, my ass.
But the clarity is okay. So the QM6K wins because it ties the Bravia 9. Almost, right? Bravia 9 is the best. QM6K is a close second, and the QM7K is a distant third. They need to work on the shadow detail here in this scene. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
But
And they can. They have the zones. They'll be able to do it.
yes, that's the thing. They have the zones, but look at the color uniformity on the QM6K. This, okay, guys, if you are on the fence on the QM6K, and it's the price point of your dream TV, right? You're not even shopping QM7 because that's a little bit above budget. Feel confident the QM6K is going to kill any TV at its price point. Once it drops,
Yeah.
the 65-inch drops to below $700. There is no TV that can touch the QM6K at under $700. I guarantee it. I'm seeing this
Yeah.
right here. This is such a difficult scene. You guys don't understand. And the
Yeah,
Bravia
it's
9, I get it. It can do this scene, but the QM6K to do it this close, I expect QM7K to do what it's doing right now, by the way. It doesn't surprise me. The QM6K is a surprise. So bravo, QM6K again. But in bright scenes, of course, QM7K has done very well.
Well, Phil, doesn't the QM6K remind you of the B series from LG? Like it stays more natural and more rich because it's not trying to do what it can't do. It kind of just
Yes,
stays at that lower tier and it just looks beautiful and more natural.
it does. I mean, it's like it knows what it's capable of. And sorry,
The Bravia 3 does not beat TCL, my friend. I don't know what you're talking about.
So we're gonna do
Yeah,
off angle real quick. I have to choose a good off angle movie. So I normally
You guys are
do. I don't know.
Bravia 3. So the Bravia 3 beats all the TCLs. You're out of your mind. Bravia 3 is fine for what it is, but it's not going to compete with these.
I like the Wizard of Oz because it has so much color.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the software is actually paired to the hardware when it comes to that specific movie. That's why we put it on. What's
So we're gonna do off angle next, guys. I'm choosing something that's really saturated, which is a Wizard of Oz, and we'll see how the color.
what's there's no Columbo, baby? Come on, Wizard of
There's not
Oz.
enough color in Columbo.
Wow, look at there's no color at all on Columbo. His jacket's just a wrinkled tan.
There we go. This is it. Okay. Let me turn the exposure on this. All right, let's go off angle.
Yes, for us, I still have the 83-inch C1. That's what I game on all the time. That's what I'm replacing the G5 with. So yes, my home TV is still the C1 and the A80J, and behind me is the 83-inch A80L, which is not on right now. Which I need to turn back on.
Well, they both look the same. So the QM7. Let me move this out of the way. So the QM7K looks very similar to the Bravia 9 off angle. And let me eyeball it real quick.
Julio, I like the QNED 89 at 98 inches. I have not seen the TCL QM7K at 98, but the QM7K is going to be higher spec, better local dimming, and the QNED 89 was not their highest end. It did very well for what it is, but I'd probably give the edge to the QM7K in that regard.
So, Brian, it's about
Same
30
again.
to
Same with the
40
X99.
degrees off angle. What do you think?
Okay.
Definite improvement, huh?
Yeah, no
It
doubt.
looks good.
It does.
And then we move it back to what it was before.
Redemption. How much do you game? I game on PC. I game as much as I can in terms of time. I consider myself a hardcore gamer. So, you know, why do you need so many TVs? I'm a home theater nut that has a YouTube channel, Frost. And why haven't you updated your C1 for so long? Because we're too busy talking to you guys to really sit and enjoy our TV. So I don't update them because I don't have the time to enjoy them. I'm updating the
No, we
G5.
don't.
I bought the 880L last year. So, but updating a TV for us, it'll sit in the box because we're doing this every 2 times a week. We do content all the time.
Well, I would love to answer this question. Why should anyone buy these if the G5 exists? Because the
It's a
QM6K
great
is
question.
$700. So if all you have in your pocket is $700 to buy a TV, QM6K Black Friday, end of story. If all you have is $999 on Black Friday, QM7K, end of story. The Bravia 9 versus the G5, that's more of the question. Bravia 9 is 2,000 something right now. The G5 65-inch will be 2,600, something like that, right? Very similar. So it is G5 versus the Bravia 9. So it really comes down to budget because everyone's a millionaire. Go out and get the G5 and you're good to go.
Yeah.
But because people want to know, well, if I don't have that much money, how much am I losing when I get a QM7K? And this is how much.
Yeah, and and you're talking about flagship versus flagship. I'm sipping green tea actually. Probably a little bit late in the night to be sipping that. I probably should stop sipping green tea.
And
But in terms quickly, if you guys, in terms of us enjoying our content, we don't have the time. So I mean, if we could think of YouTube as your own business, we have to edit. So when we're not on camera, we're editing. So we very rarely have time to really watch movies. A lot of times we watch them in the background while we're editing.
yeah. So this is a good question,
Okay.
D. Hey, fellas, thanks for the great content. Not sure if that is off topic, but you have any experience with a Sony Pictures Core Pure Stream, formerly known as Bravia
Yep.
Core, versus Apple TV? If no experience, no worries. So I'm assuming you mean Apple TV rentals, or you buy a movie off of Apple TV. So the Sony Bravia Core has the highest bit rate in terms of actual data. Now, does it mean in terms of video image quality? Personally, I have had a hard time distinguishing between a good
Me too.
stream, whether or not it's Sony Bravia Core or Apple TV or just Google Movies that I rent versus a Blu-ray disc. And I have static scenes, frozen scenes, motion, everything, looking
Yep.
for artifacts. And at the end of the day, I may have caught one or two scenes where I thought maybe I saw something, but the fact I had to pause it, and then even then when I came back to it, it wasn't there anymore. I was like, you know what? This is a pointless exercise. So as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned, if you have a good gigabit connection, streaming movies off of Apple TV or Sony Bravia Core or
Yeah.
Google Movies. I have a bunch of Google rentals or Google Movies I purchased, all the same, indistinguishable. Now, at 120 inches, once you expand that, maybe bitrate might make a difference. But at 65, 77 inches, or I tested it on my 77-inch OLED before, and that's why I don't do a video on it, because I couldn't tell the difference. I said, you know what? It's not even worth talking about. So personally, my
Yeah.
experience is, how about you, Brian? Did you notice any obvious
You know,
differences?
FOMO, same. I mean, I had Bravia Core when it was Bravia Core. I had several movies on it. I didn't notice the difference myself. The big difference with streaming and Blu-ray is audio for me. And even then, the convenience of Apple TV. I buy something on Apple TV for $3, and it's on every device I have. It's hard to beat. And every time I'm in the studio, FOMO, I go on Apple TV. I buy 3 or 4 movies for pennies on the dollar. Blu-ray, I mean, I would buy them, pay 30, $40 for them, and then I can't find a disc. The disc gets dirty, so now it's convenience, and I think it's as close. And I watch them on all massive TVs. So
Yeah.
Bravia Core is great. Sometimes Bravia Core, you'll end up getting a coupon when you buy Sony TV, but for the most part, it's hard because it's a limited library. And I haven't even logged into my Bravia Core in a minute.
And
MT Super
so,
Chat, $5. Hi guys, I have an LG CX To which I should upgrade the G4 A95L or wait for the G5 for movies and gaming. YouTube all use heavy. The CX was an interesting TV simply because it tried to be more accurate than the C9. I think they oversteered, and the CX was a little dim and it had a lot of banding problems. You're going to see a massive upgrade with the G5, G4, A95L. The G5 is going to be much more expensive than both of those TVs. The A95L is going to be the more natural with the most color. It's a quantum dot OLED. The G5 will be the brightest with the most color now. But for it's hard. It's hard. All those are going to be a great jump in price. If price is no object, I'd go with a G5. Thanks for the super chat.
So right here, I think all three TVs did a good job. For the QM7K and the QM6K to catch up, this is a very difficult scene, if you guys don't know. On the QM8 and the QM7 last year, it felt like it was very contrasty. There was none of that subtle gradient in the shadow detail. They have it now. So more than ever, I'm more convinced the QM6K has really good processing. I think it's kind of overbuilt now that I think about it. But as we're nearing the end, Brian, if you were to wrap up what we saw with the QM7K, what would you say?
I'm impressed with it. I'm still looking at it as being a little raw, simply because it's right out of the box. It's not officially released, but considering that's going toe to toe with the Bravia 9 and it's got better specular highlights across the board, I'm looking forward to it. So I think it wins. In impact, I think a lot of us walked in the room. We choose the QM7K. I just think it needs more refinement, FOMO. The QM6K, we know what it is, amazing value for what it is. The Bravia 9 is the best of the group overall. But I think give the QM7K a little more time in the oven, and it's going to be a monster.
And I still think it's worth holding on to because of its price point. Because as I was going through this, watching it with you guys, initially I was a little disappointed because I really did expect a lot given the specs. But then at the end of the day, firmware being what it is, it should be better by the end of the year once they see where it's struggling, which is the finer details, right? They got enough dimming zones to get it there. Now, maybe the QM8K is that TV. So on the other hand, there is the QM8K. And if the QM8K gets it done, then now we know why you pay the extra money, a few $100s more for the QM8K. If it doesn't get it done, well, then get the QM7K. What does the QM8K bring to the table, right?
Yeah, we'll see. They're going to be bumping into a ceiling at some point. They have the QM9K. They have the X11K. So they have a lot going on. My expectations for the Q9MK, I'm not sure. Let's get to the QM8K first.
Wait. I like this one. So expectations for the QM9K. Brightness. You see the specs, super bright, super expensive. Why? Because when you're that bright and you control the problem, you control the dimming zones, right? Additional dimming zones, all the additional control, it just costs money to develop for that. The thing is, that means you're only watching certain content. Alpha, Jennifer Gala. It's pointless to get the QM9K to watch Columbo. I know we dragged poor Columbo into this, but, QM6K is built for Columbo and old shows. QM9K is built for next generation movies like the Bravia 9. Now we're going to have the new Brad Pitt movie F1 coming out. It's graded on the new BVM 3110. It's going to be a brighter HDR experience. Maybe that will show off the QM9K better.
So FOMO also, it's like the U8N from Hisense when it was too bright all the time. You had that TV. I know Caleb just did a review on it. Ratings did. It was like the U9N was definitely brighter than the rest of the lineup, but it's almost like you couldn't dial it back.
Yeah, agreed. It felt like so this year I expect a lot of U8Q, I think they're calling it. We'll see that shortly. And Project Mayhem. So those of you who are watching who are a little disappointed with how the QM7K performed, remember that Bravia 9 has had about a year of updates in its pocket now. QM7K has only one update. I literally updated it once when I put this on, and it will get better. Now, how will it get better is another question, but it should be able to fine-tune those things you saw, which is really only the specular detail and that weird shadow splotchiness you guys saw. The QM6K didn't have it, and it's possible it's a panel issue. Actually, it could be a panel issue. Actually, I think it is a panel issue because that's so weird. I'm tempted to swap another one because I don't want to give a QM7K a bad review. Brian, do you think that's a panel issue? What you saw with the Game of Thrones, that splotchiness?
No, because I think you'd see it everywhere. I think it's a
Well, no,
processing
but I'm
issue.
saying you think maybe I just have a bad panel because that's
I don't know. I would think you'd see it everywhere. You'd see it on a lot of the other scenes, and you didn't see it, because Jen's content's pushing it.
when you get it, put in Games of Thrones. If you don't have it, I'm returning my panel because clearly it's my TV. Because I cannot, knowing that it could be a panel issue, it really bothers me. Not TCL's fault. It's a panel lottery, my friends. I know I won the panel lottery on the QM6K, but let's do uniformity. I'm going to put up some gray screens as you answer some questions, Brian. But thank you everyone for
Yeah.
coming by, and we answered MT super chat, right?
I'm
All
actually
right.
responding to Jen because I put the link of her
Yeah.
videos.
So I'm going to put on YouTube again, and we'll do some gray screen stuff.
So if you guys want the links to the videos from Jen's channel, I put them in the chat. The funny thing is I actually linked her video on her channel. So what do you guys think from what you've seen of the TCL QM7K? Again, keep in mind it literally just came out. FOMO did say it did take one update when he got it home, which I'm glad to see. A lot of times when I would see a Sony before it's officially out, it wouldn't update at all. So FOMO, it did take an update, correct?
Yes, it took one update when I started it, but then most TVs do. But Bruce did call me to let me know, hey, TCL just finished an update. Don't forget, it's coming into your QM6 and QM7. So that was
Okay.
exciting.
Yes,
I love
I'll
updates.
update mine as well. So I'm impressed with it so far. Other than that Game of Thrones scene, which I'll check when my QM7K arrives, which I think should be here not the end of this week, next week. So and then we'll tag team it, and I'll put the QM7K against the QM6K, and I'll put it against the Bravia 7 as well.
All right. And let's do. Okay,
I
I
mean,
just
Big
added the gray
Phil,
screen.
I think that'd be fine. Big Phil, it's really, they handle the newer movies better than they do a lot of the older ones because they're kind of filmed for that. So
All right. Let's do this grayscale real quick so you guys can see how uniformity is. All right. Here we go.
it does, it's got much more HDR pop, that's for sure. We saw where it loses some of the gradients, but again, for you guys watching, what do you prefer? That little bit of detail that you're missing from the Bravia 9, but would you know it was there if it wasn't for the Bravia 9 being in the image? That's what you have to ask yourself.
I see Sony's Mura at work.
Yeah, it's clean. Now you're off angle, right?
No, I'm on angle.
Okay. So you're seeing a lot of that brown spot.
I mean, it's
You might
not
be able, that's what you might
terrible.
see. But is
Go
that
ahead,
the
Brian.
splotchiness you're seeing in that shot FOMO then that was on the Game of Thrones? Though it'd be hard to see that screen uniformity show up the way it did.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it is. It feels like this is a splotchiness because I recognize where those splotchy parts are. And there feels like there's a slight pink tint right next to the word grayscale to its left. Well, let's keep it going. As it gets darker, any splotchiness gets worse and worse.
Buddy guy, I mean, right now the QM6K is probably the best value out there for a current TV, like a new TV. So that's really out at this point.
Okay. All right. So, who wins the DSE contest here? Let me go
The
back
Bravia
one.
9 looks the best.
Yeah. Okay, I think this is the easiest one to see right there. There we go. There we go. And so another reason, $2,000, right? So Sony TVs from their entry-level X90L on up, I know for sure has the Mura software that addresses the splotchiness. They will then compensate and add the right color and brightness to offset that at the factory. So that's why generally the Sonys are better. Now, nothing is perfect, but that
Yep.
explains why, rather than binning.
Yeah, they
But
even
I
it.
have
They
to
even it
say,
out.
the QM6K looks pretty good.
Yeah. I think that's a lack of brightness too. It's not showing up as much. So
Let me see.
nope, they don't pair. They don't cherry pick them. They literally
They
even it
have
out
that
with
Mura
hardware.
software. Yeah.
Yeah. So they go every panel and then they literally we've watched them do it where they see the where it doesn't match and then they adjust it with camera and the software. So they raise it all the same. It's not perfect, but it's the best in the business.
Just
And
making
Project
sure.
Man, we didn't know it either. That was something that we learned while we were out in Japan, which I thought was one of the most interesting things about what we shared, other than the RGB mini LED, was the Mira. That's really what Japan.
Okay. How long have we been on? It's almost 5:30. Can you believe it? We're almost on for 2 hours because you guys are so awesome. Ask any questions, my friends. We're here for
Yeah,
you. QM7K, QM6K, any TV model except for the Sony TV lineup for 2025. That's coming in another video shortly. I know you guys are gonna ask it. We cannot talk about it, but I
we
will
cannot.
dare talk about the Samsung 2025 lineup at this point, as well as whatever you've seen on my channel, on Brian's channel. Hit me.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean we're in a tough spot with the S95F reviews because we have obviously seen those TVs. We are under NDA, so we can't talk about them, which I'm not sure we'll repeat that next year. So, but we've all seen we've seen all the lineups. Any questions, guys? So
I think they're just
425 in the
enjoying
chat.
Jennifer's content.
Please hit like. This is a great scene right here because look, FOMO. This is where the specular highlights on the U7K, the QM7K. So the U7K, the QM7K. I love that you can see through the lizard,
Yes,
and
it is
it's
slightly
missing.
brighter.
It's a lot brighter.
There's
You can
no at
see. Look,
10,000 nits. And look at that tone mapping.
so look at the lizards, the top where it's darker on the Bravia 9, but it really shows all the way through the body on the QM7K. Love that. So I think people that aren't looking for I think it looks better.
So this is definitely so to answer the question, was the QM7K designed to match the Bravia 9? I think it is. I think it more often came close to the Bravia 9 or it beat it in one or two scenes, and the brightness is there. Now there are one or two scenes it didn't, but you can't win them all. But I think it's close enough that I could say it was designed to match the Bravia 9. The
Yeah.
QM8K, on the other hand, is it designed to beat the
Well,
Bravia 9, Brian?
well, in FOMO, we talk about it didn't in certain scenes. That's the TV choosing what it thinks it needs to do. It's not that it can't. It's what does it need to do, right? So as far as the speakers, you have a Banger. What's the speaker system on this one? Bang Olufsen is on this one versus on the Onkyo. So you're gonna have a better speaker system on the QM7K, though the speakers sound great in the QM6K for what it is. The QM8K, I mean, I can't wait to see what that's going to do. I'm not sure I'll have that one in for review. I'm not sure if they send that. I hope Bruce send that one out too.
Oh, I know it's going
But
to
they
be
have
in
a
for
killer lineup.
review. They gotta.
I mean, I would love to have that one too. But
Look
they're
how
doing
good that
great.
looks. I mean, look at the QM6K. It's doing very well. Okay, here's where the QM6K will fall apart. It cannot keep up with that brightness.
Jesse, hey guys, which is better TV, the 77-inch S84D or the LG B4? The S84D, I think, is like a C series, isn't it?
Let me see here.
I'm not sure.
S84D is a W OLED. It's their entry level. I would take the B4, honestly,
I would
because I
too.
think LG at the entry level, they really know what they're doing. I think Samsung at the entry level, WOLED, they don't have much experience there. They normally are the QD OLED team. So I'm more comfortable recommending the B4, mostly because I saw the B3 and saw how amazing it was. Oh, actually, you know why I'm here, Brian? This scene? This is where the QM7K wipes the floor with the Bravia 9 as it gets brighter and brighter. So you guys have got to see this. I'm like, wait, how did the QM7K beat the Bravia 9? At 10,000 nits, the Bravia 9 gives up. It will not tone map at 10,000 nits. So you see that detail on the left, right? 4,000 nits,
Yep.
Bravia 9 is good. Even the QM6K is doing well at 4,000 nits. And then once it goes to 10,000 nits, the Bravia 9 won't do it. It won't tone map above 4,000 because it's like, why do I need to? What kind of content am I tone mapping? So
You're like
it's coming
Jen's.
up. I know, Jen. They need to tone up Jen's content.
No wonder Jen talks so much smack about Sony. She's like, come on, you got to do it.
Yeah, keep up with the Joneses. There we go. Let's stop right there. So, bottom left-hand corner, both the 7K and the 6K has that blue there, and it's almost washed out on the Bravia 9. Low exposure of this, you guys can see that.
Yep, I see it. It's in the bottom. Yeah, wow.
Yep.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so,
Bottom of the clouds.
10,000 nits is where the Bravia 9 loses. Not to suggest that you would ever have 10,000 nit content, but the
But it's got the
QM7K
headroom.
did do its homework.
Yep. That's a processing thing, too.
That's tone mapping.
That's impressive.
So, you got to give them the props where they've earned it, and this is it.
Of course.
Here's another one. Look at the far left-hand corner. There's that little bit of blue. There's no blue on the Bravia 9.
Yeah. Wow.
So I had to give TCL something, right? It does know how to tone map, but only at 10,000 nits. You know what? Don't we have Netflix? How does it do on Netflix? I expect it to look exactly the same as the other guys. So really quick, we'll do The Witcher and we'll be done. I believe the QM7K does have ATSC 3.0, right? The tuner? Not like we have any stations that take advantage of it.
I'm actually not sure about that.
I like her face because there's so much skin tone that you can get wrong.
What we on Witcher?
Yeah, Witcher.
Bruce Walker said ATSC 1.0. FOMO.
What did Bruce Walker say?
ATSC 1.0.
All right. So basically, basic. And, if you're watching The Witcher, all the TVs look great. I would not reject any of the TVs. And this is why I keep on telling you guys.
I still like the QM7K better, though. Even if it's not accurate, I do like the punch on it.
Yeah. No, subjectively, most people would choose it.
Yeah.
Because it has that
the red in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that red in the back. I like it a lot better, actually. So, interesting.
Here we go.
The fire's got more impact on the QM7K.
How about this scene? Which one you like better in this scene?
So the Bravia 9 to me has got the best. I don't know. I still like the pop. Again, it might not be accurate. I like the pop of the QM7K.
Yeah. I mean, it's very subtle, but the QM6K is right there, right?
Yeah, I like it better, actually. So, I mean, then again, accuracy is not my favorite thing in the world, so I'm always going to go for as long as it's somewhat accurate, I'll go for the more pop. Especially because of mini LED, I
mean, I love these candles because this is HDR, right? The candles are slightly bright, and the scene how it's rendered. I'm going to turn up the exposure so you can see the shadow detail here. Not bad. Oh, is it still bright enough for me to open the windows?
What are you opening windows?
Yeah, let me see. Let's see if there's any glare that can be seen. I know it's not even because the one is below the window and the Bravia 9 is at the window. So that's unfair.
Yeah, it looks like
and
the QM6K is not really getting it all.
I don't have floor to ceiling windows. Let me see if I turn on my big light.
My wife is very upset with me. Why? Because I'm getting the G5. Apple Drew thinks because I'm getting the G5. G5 will be here soon, baby. 83.
Okay. Let me get a slightly dark scene. Actually, let me just turn off the panels. Or let's get a dark scene so that we can have a comparison of anti-glare. If I can get it.
No, Samsung is
Okay,
Samsung
so I
displays.
have to say the QM7K and the Bravia 9 have similar anti-glare. The QM6K is the one with the most reflections. It's hard to see, unfortunately.
I spend more time with TVs than her. I spend more time with you guys than I do with her, not TVs. Plasma, what's up? Yeah, 83 G5, baby. That's gonna be a monster.
So that's my
Married for 20 years. All right, yeah, we're watching the light. I'm sorry, go back to the Bravia 9. The Bravia 9 disperses it. So does the QM7K, though.
Yeah.
Go back down again to the QM7K. All right, I like that. Now go over to the QM6K.
Yeah, QM6K.
Interesting. Yeah, it shows it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
QM7K is good. I approve. QM7K has excellent anti-glare. Great for a bright room. This will probably be the 98-inch TV to get.
Root beer, what is my...
The QM7K will be the 98-inch TV to get for a bright room. There's no doubt about it.
So, Brian, what changed your mind to switch from the 4090 to the 5090? What was the push? I didn't switch. So I don't think it's worth it. I don't see the rasterization from the 49 to the 59 to make it worth it. So I won't upgrade until they go to the next generation. Unless I'm building another PC and I won't pay top dollar. I already get paid a lot during the whole crypto craziness with the 3090 Ti. And the 4090 to me is still amazing. I don't need the 5090. Let's see. Bruce says if you use your phone light and hold it close, you'll see the crisp glow panel does for reflection. That's from Bruce Walker.
Oh, let me see.
So he said if you use your phone light and hold it close, you'll see what the crystal glow panel does for reflections.
Crystal glow. He won't let me call it crystal glow. Okay, let's hold it close.
Proprietary.
Yeah, it does reduce the brightness quite a bit. It doesn't have the rainbow scatter effect of the Bravia 9. So the QM7K doesn't have the rainbow scatter effect of the Bravia 9. It feels like it's a newer version of the Bravia 9's anti-glare. I like it.
That's good, yeah, because that scatter effect can be distracting at times.
Yeah.
Panasonic, we won't hear anything till probably end of May, if I'm guessing.
And
Just
Robert
guessing.
says it's hard to set that up very square with the camera. I tried to center my camera to the TVs and then angle them in a little bit, if that makes sense, so that no TV is off angle. I could angle the QM6K a little bit more if you want, but I'm standing behind it, and I did angle the QM6K a little bit already to adjust for that. But yeah, and the closer the camera is, the worse that angle, right? I gotcha. It's so hard comparing TVs, guys.
Well, it's hard to show it too. You know what you're seeing there.
Dare you answer this one? Anything on Panasonic?
Not until probably end of May, I'm guessing.
Okay. And let me make sure I've covered all the super chats, then we'll wrap up. Shadow detail on the QM7K will improve with updates. So the answer is possibly. We don't like to promise, but what I can say is in the past, consistently with the QM8s, with the TCL 6 series, with the TCL 8 series, and last year's QM8, they have improved many items, and a lot of it is image processing, but they don't fix everything because certain things you cannot fix with software alone. My hope is what we caught today will help TCL address it in a future firmware update. And really, it's the detail level of the specular highlights. I don't have any complaints at all. And that blooming control you guys saw at the beginning, right? If you go to the very beginning, we did the Starfield. I think that is, actually, this is a great one. We'll stop right here. I think that is a great design choice on their part. The QM6K obviously cannot get bright enough. So what they did is they want to give you black uniformity, and you see all the stars, but the stars are not super bright, although a little bit brighter than the Bravia 9. The Bravia 9 does not want any clouding at all, no haloing, so their stars are not as bright as the QM7K. The QM7K emphasized the bright stars, but the cost to be paid is the halo and ghosting around the stars, the blooming. So the question is, will TCL fix that, or do they think that people prefer the brighter stars? Like right here, they all look great, right? Because the scene is so bright, you're not going to see any blooming in this scene. But Brian, would you prefer the QM7K be more like the Bravia 9 and have perfect black in space, but the stars are slightly dim? Or did you like it brighter, but then with a few of that clouding issues that we saw?
I'll take the brightness because I'm chasing the Starfield. I think is a double-edged sword. So I think that
Yeah, you rarely see it in content. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the QM7K should just not brute force it, get a little bit more elegant, but I think it should be brighter. I don't think you can really try to be the Bravia. The Bravia 9 is not perfect, but I think the Bravia 9 lacks some HDR impact because it's trying to be accurate. I think the LED should try to go for HDR impact. Because once you start backing off from HDR impact, now you're bumping into OLEDs, and OLEDs will smack it. So I think you got to try and be as bright as you can and be elegant and bright, but don't try to be the Bravia 9 because you're going to bump into the OLEDs that are now getting brighter. Because the OLEDs are brighter this year. So you want to try and stay ahead of them in terms of peak brightness. Otherwise, there's no point in having a mini LED, period.
You know what do you think of this comment? The QM6K just needs the brightness from the QM7K, and you'd have a winner. Well, we thought that's what it was, but turns out the QM6K has better color science. I don't know how else to describe it, Brian. It's crazy.
It's just more. I mean, the QM6K is just. I think it's not trying to be bright. It is just more accurate. It's got a very its skin tones and its color reproduction is very accurate. It's just pleasant, but I think it's also not trying to be brighter than it is. So it stays within its limits.
And this is to your point, Brian. A field of the theaters feel that Bravia 9 is a little flatter, but has detail and accuracy. And what did you say? Well, if you wanted that, you'd probably get an OLED, right? But if you want impact that only LEDs can do, then give you the QM7K, or in a few weeks, the QM8K. Can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
Or actually, how many of you are excited for the QM8K? Are you guys, you know what? At this price point, you're good with the QM7K. Like, is there to be anything expected?
We'll see. And I can't wait to see how Hisense's, their lineup matches. I think they're going to have a hard time because TCL's got so many different steps. Their 6 is a killer. The 7's great. 8, 9, the X11. Can't wait to see all these TVs. Rather have a Hisense.
And the best segue of all.
He puts that on every. He puts that on a G5 video.
I'd rather
So
have, I'm sorry, that's funny. You put that on a micro LED video, right? I'd rather have a Hisense.
yeah,
All
exactly.
right. Hey, everyone. Let me check the
Bentley
super
video.
chats. I know.
You want a Bugatti? No, I get a Hisense.
Yes,
At
that
least.
will be our next TV from TCL is the QM8K, but we're not done with the QM7K yet. I am convinced that what happened in Game of Thrones is a bad panel. I'm going to make sure to try to get another one. And Brian, what are your closing thoughts after everything you've seen in this comparison? And
I
we'll
mean,
wrap it up.
I'm very happy with it. I wanted to see a big jump over the QM6K, not necessarily put it against the Bravia 9. Again, the Bravia 9's been out for a year. It's all about refinement. They've updated it 8 or 9 times at this point. So I'm not really expecting the QM7K to have the elegance of the Bravia 9 yet. I think it can get there. But I do like the improvement I'm seeing over the QM6K is what I was really looking for, FOMO. Because I'm very happy with the QM6K. I want to see the QM7K be that next step up, and then so on and so forth. So I'll see it against the Bravia 7, which I think is a more apples to apples, and I think it'll do really well.
Which is exactly what Matty Daddy is saying. I thought the QM7K was my sure pick, but the low light performance and the desire for true 4000 nits has me waiting for the QM8K. You and me both, brother.
Yeah,
You and me both. All right.
yeah, and that's probably if there's one thing that TCL is probably hurting themselves is that they're doing so well with the TVs they're putting out that it makes you want to go, well, I'll wait for the next one within their own. At least the people want that within their own lineup, which is cool. But I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. I'm overall happy with the QM7K at this price point. I was hoping it could punch even harder, but you know what? It's $9.99 after the gift card today, but by the end of summer, it will be $9.99 straight up, no gift
Yeah,
card, whatnot. Probably even cheaper, probably $700 by the end of
yeah,
Black Friday. So that is going to
yeah.
be a phenomenal deal because
And
at
for
the end of the
and for you
day,
guys,
yeah,
well, and for you guys asking about the larger sizes, Robert Zone from Value Electronics is probably going to carry the larger QM6K at 85. And so I talked to Bruce today. Anything that Robert carries that's large, like the 100-inch, I'll go down and I'll film those for you guys. So we'll be able to get because I know the QM6K will have the matte finish at the larger sizes, so we'll be able to see how that works. And X11 will have those, so we'll get them all covered for you.
yeah. Robert does, I mean, on his website already, the link is in chat. Go to the top of the chat. I pinned it. You can
Yeah,
see that he has the QM7K at the 98 and 115 inch. As soon as he gets it, he'll ship it out to you. They're not cheap, right? The 98 inch is around 4,000 MSRP, and I'm sure that'll go down a bit. But the 115 inch, Brian, is 15,000. Wow. But
yeah,
what I've seen at 115 inch is better than any projector in terms of the impact, HDR impact at that size
yeah,
in a bright room watching sports. Are you kidding me? This is going to be a
yeah,
game changer for
yeah.
those in a large room. So
And the
anyway,
local, I'll tell you,
everyone,
and the
go ahead.
color and FOMO, the local dimming on the QM8 115 was insane. So I think
Yes.
it larger they get, they perform better. And I mean, the TV's gorgeous. So the QM8 115 was incredible.
Robert's saying that QM6K is looking bad on the right side of the screen. If some
No,
zones went out,
the QM6K, there's
it's
one
got
thing.
so few zones to go out.
The QM6K, what's interesting is when you go off angle, sometimes the colors are there, but it does seem like it's failing. It's not. It's just the way the camera has to be kind of in the middle. It doesn't do that in person, but on camera, it just seems like it doesn't grab it.
No. Maybe
There you
Robert's right. I just added the angle. I turned the TV. Is that better? Is it on angle now? Nah, that
go. Yeah,
hasn't
a little
helped
bit.
much. But
You turn the
I
zones
turned
off.
it.
You
It
got
turned,
to
yeah,
tap
the
it.
zones are off. So what's happening in your channel today, Brian, or this week, Brian?
I did a G5 video yesterday. I'm actually finishing up my QM6K versus U7N, and then the QM6K is going to chill until the the QM7K comes, and then I have the Valerian coming at the end of the week projector, which I can't wait to film. So that's about it. We did a lot of tech therapy videos. We can do one about this maybe. We'll see how the response is to this video, but I'm looking forward to getting this TV in the studio, which Bruce said is going to be on the way very soon.
Well, you still have maybe a Hisense and you have the Bravia 7. I mean, those are all its tiered
Yep.
brethren, right? This
Yeah,
is
so
not
my
really designed to destroy the Bravia 9. It just wants to
no,
come
my
close,
U8.
which it did.
Unfortunately, my U8N had an accident, but the
Oh
U7N is
no!
still here. Yeah, it definitely the I touched the screen the wrong way and it shattered, so that's gone. But the U7N is there, and the Bravia 7 is here, and I get to hold on to the TVs for a little while, so you'll see them battle, and then we're going to see Hisense TVs next end of the month. I'll be in New York filming those.
And with that, we have one more super chat. Last one, my friends. I have to get a TV in about 2 months. Excellent timing. I can get the Samsung Q90D for 75 inches for $1,400. Is this a good deal? A good TV? Or which 75 inch you guys recommend at around $1,600? Look at the 77-inch LG B4. It is at around $1,600.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Close to it.
I
think at Best
like
Buy,
I like the
$1,600.
QM90D. The problem is that, a larger OLED. It's really hard to beat that. But yeah, the QM90 is a very good TV. I liked it last year. And then this year's QM90 is going to have the matte finish, which a lot of you guys don't like. So Samsung will have some interesting choices this year.
Well, it is improved matte finish, Brian. The question is, it's $1,600, so it's exactly in your budget. The 77-inch LG B4 at Best Buy right now is $1,599. Let me put that link in here for you in case you buy from Best Buy. There'll be an affiliate link. I get a whopping 0.5% commission, which is like $5
in a year.
But it doesn't change the price for you guys. So that's it if you want looking for the LG B4. They're like, wait, what's that link? Let me type that up again. 1,600 77-inch B4. Yeah, I mean, if you guys think we're making big bucks on these commissions, man, I tell you, 0.5%, geez, how cheap can you get? All right, and with that, I cannot wait for the QM8K. My conclusion is the QM7K, it definitely is better than last year's QM7. There is no doubt about it. Off angle is better. Shadow detail is better. Although I had issues with my near black splotchiness. I don't know what the deal is. I think it could be a panel lottery issue. You guys saw how kind of unusually bad it is compared to the QM6K, which should not happen. But other than that, everything else above one nit, it's amazing. It lacks a little specular highlight, but again, it's a little bit brighter and more often than not than the Bravia 9, and that's what you're getting with the Bravia 9, a little extra clarity. But is it worth $2,000? And Brian and Brian says no. I think yes, but then I'm that kind of guy. I'm the guy who gets handcrafted shoes. Is it worth an extra $100 for handcrafted shoes against the one that's made in Vietnam?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I hear you.
So anyway, this has been awesome. Thank you so much, Brian, for coming on, and thank you, Jennifer Gala, for sharing your content with us. And until next time, we're going to have a lot of fun this TV season. And don't forget, in May, we're going to have the spring TV kickoff. We're going to have the LG G5 against the Samsung S95F. And that's just going to be amazing at the 65-inch size because it's the best WOLED primary RGB versus 4th generation QD OLED. And at the 83-inch size, if we can get it in on time, Samsung's version of primary RGB OLED versus LG. Can Samsung do it better? Can't wait for that. All right.
We'll see.
Until next time.
All right, guys.
See you later.